Yo, what's going on? Yeah, it's your boy 3 Stacks in this thing, and I'm going over an update on my Invoked Prediction Princess Shaddoll Spellbook deck. It's really lit. It's Calamity's Turbo. Let's get it. I've been enjoying the crap out of this deck, and it's went through a lot of changes. And I really think that this Link monster made a huge impact on the deck's playstyle, because this is freaking great with Shaddolls. It should have just been a Shaddoll Link monster, right? So let's go ahead and start with the main deck. We're playing 3 copies of Prediction Princess Territory. This card is just finger licking good, especially in combination with her shield, Pot of the Forbidden. These two in rotation, you can do so much with these 2 cards. You virtually get to do anything that would be banned, pretty much, but Pot of Forbidden don't care about that. He's like, we're gonna Pot of Greed. We're gonna do whatever we want. You know, I mean, like, Territory Pot of Greed alone, Territory Pot of the Forbidden alone is not necessarily game, but it's game changing and sometimes can be game ending. And then when you incorporate the fact that, oh yeah, we still have Invoke fusions. Oh yeah, we can still Link Summon for Behemoth, and we can still go Winda and Invoke Makaba, which is just freaking insane. It's like, if you commit every single resource from your hand to one play, you can make a huge, powerful board. Of course, it requires you to overcommit, but sometimes it's worth it and it's pretty fun. And so yeah, I guess we'll just leave the Pot of Forbidden right next to her. 2 copies of Mr. Crowley, because 3 is a bit too much for this deck. Not because you don't need 3, but because there's so many other normal summons of the deck that it kind of like clogs up. And, you know, you need to open up space for other things. 2 Spirit of the Fallen. When you normal summon here, most of the time you're going to search out Pot of Forbidden. If not, you're searching out, you know, your targets for your Shaddoll Fusion, which would be pretty much, you know, any of the Shaddolls, which is really nice. So she's technically like a pseudo Stratos. And, you know, Mr. Crowley just searches for his own invocation spell. Then 1 copy of Prediction Princess Koi Norma, simply because we had space issues in the deck and 1 was all we could fit, as well as the 1 Blue Boy, but 1 Blue Boy is pretty standard. And then for the Shaddoll portion of the deck, we have 2 copies of Shaddoll Hedgehog. Pretty much, you know, this is the Stratos / Rhoda of the Shaddoll archetype. She's pretty much for any flip effects. He gets you, you know, your invocation. He's for your spellbook engine. She's utility for any flip effect. So you have like monsters that allow you to access virtually anything for your deck. And Pot of Forbidden can like draw you to, he can discard from your opponent's hand, shuffle from your opponent's hand after looking at it. He can Raigeki, he can bounce off spells and traps. He does a lot, but pretty much every monster that you see here allows you to cycle through your deck, whether it's searching or drawing, which is really consistent. Even Territory herself, because she can trigger flip effects like these and recur them from the grave so you can do it multiple times. So like, these monsters all right here are pretty consistent, and they pay for the resources that you expend from your hand when you're summoning them or activating effects. Then you have 2 copies of Beast, not only for the draw power, but the level 9 actually comes up because 5 + 4 = 9, so when you're summoning Territory, you can summon her with ease. The best thing to do, obviously, is to just tribute Pot of the Forbidden for Territory, but if you cannot do so, the next best thing would be Beast and a level 4. So Beast is really clutch. And then 2 Squamata for utility purposes. Squamata is pretty much anything you need him to be, which helps out immensely. And he does has this really, really neat effect that comes in a clutch. When he's flipped, he lets you pretty much, I believe, destroy monsters. Yep, destroy monsters. So he's like a little man-eater bug in that sense. He's really dope. We also played 2 copies of Shaddoll Falco. Falco is really important for this deck for one reason. Well, the first reason is he's a tuner. The second reason is for the recursion that he gives you for the grind game synergy. In addition to that, the third reason, believe it or not, is he one of the most incredible Spellbook of Knowledge targets, because it's like a knowledge field presence that you get to keep. And you still get to flip him, you know, on your opponent's turn or on your next turn, especially the Shaddolls you already have engraved. So he makes your Shaddoll, your Spellbook of Knowledge play practically free. And of course, I think any really, in realistical terms, when you knowledge any of your Shaddolls, it's basically free. Knowledge Beast, you know, draw 3. Squamata, after you knowledge, you pretty much draw 2, search, or draw again. You know, knowledging your Hedgehog, you get to draw 2 and then search. And for Dragon, you get to out back row. And Dragon does have this awesome effect that's built in, which allows him to bounce any card on the field. Yeah, let's see, let's double check. Any card on the field back to the hand, which helps you to get rid of monsters that just couldn't be destroyed to begin with. So that's gonna sum up the monster portion of the deck. I think the MVPs are honestly Alistair, Territory, Pot of Forbidden, and Shaddoll Falco. These are the monsters that you get the most value out of. Everything else is kind of like not necessarily a card for card exchange, but you just don't get like, I guess you could say, extensive value from them. more or less you don't get this long-term recursion kind of thing going on where like as long as you can keep these in rotation, you can do whatever you want. This is the one card combo. This in tandem with Terror Tray is like never ending field presence, in-phase special him, you know, effect, special something else. Like it keeps your field presence alive, and as long as you can keep recurring Pot of the Forbidden with Terror Tray, you can continue to draw 2 cards in addition to the cards you draw, so draw 3 cards per turn, which is freaking amazing. That sums up the monsters. Then for the spells, which is the bread and butter of the deck, we have 3 copies of Pre-Preparation of Rites, my favorite spell in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! In tandem with that, we have 3 copies of Allure of Darkness. There are some cool things that you can do with the lore. If you have Invocation, like Engrave, and, you know, Alistair's not banished, you can Allure of Darkness, banish Alistair, draw 2, and then put Invocation back. Just something that may come up, it might not, but food for thought, because Dimensional Barrier is, you know, a thing. It exists. 3 copies of Optimus Prime, just to search out the field spells that you play, and you play 4 field spells. So you have 4 targets for the 3 terraformings. In tandem with that, we play 2 copies of Pot of the Desires. I really don't like 3 of it, even though I need to see a +2 like all the time. I think the deck has enough draw power, enough consistent ways to generate you card advantage to where you don't really need 3 Pot of Desires. I think it would kind of create a myriad or even a plethora of bricky hands where you either Desires, draw into a Desires, or where, you know, you keep running into Desires even if it's not off of Desires and it tempts you to activate it. And because activating 1 is the safest thing to do, you know, it just really... it made sense. Granted, I did want to play 3. That's why I went over that explanation, because it was similar concept to my Herald of Perfection deck, that once I get my board established, I just need to draw something to pretty much solidify that I have a backup play for next turn. Then you have 2 copies of Spellbook of Secrets. In addition to that, you have 2 Knowledge. You can actually play 3 of each because you have so many spellcasters, it's never dead. But I felt like 2 Knowledge, you know, 2 Desires, 2 Secrets, the Terraformings, the Pre-Preps, you know, the Allure of Darknesses. I was like, you know, it looks like we have enough consistency going on here. We have enough pluses and ways to search and dig through the deck. I'm really content with how the deck plays and how, you know, you really never have a problem with digging for the cards that you need. Then we have 2 copies of Las Vegas, aka Ritual Sanctuary, what it's known for. It's pretty much like it's here to not only search out your combo pieces for Prediction Princess Terror Tray, but in addition to that, believe it or not, you load your spell with so many grades that it's actually the Monster Reborn for Terror Tray as well. So it serves multiple purposes in this deck, just like it does in my Herald of Perfection deck. And then we have 2 copies of Magical Meltdown, aka the Hot Sauce. I felt like I wanted to have more ways to get into Alistair, because you only play 2 Alistair, and granted, yeah, you have 3 Terraforming. For the most part, they're always being used for Ritual Sanctuary. So I just wanted to have additional ways to get into Alistair without playing 3 actual copies of him, because the deck has so many normal summons. It's freaking crazy. Then you have 3 copies of Prediction Ritual. Pretty much, you know, the ritual spell for Terror Tray, specifically Lister. That's why you can pre-prep it. Then it has an additional effect that lets you banish it from the graveyard to add any Prediction Princess from deck to hand. And for the Shaddoll fusions, we just have 3. 2 regular and 1 L. Even though this is at 3 and this is at 2, just for this deck's particular playstyle, you just want to play 3 of them. And it not only contributes to breaking hands, but Invocation can actually summon Shaddolls. It's just a generic fusion, believe it or not. It's really cool. So just the 1 Invocation, and then for traps we play 1 Shaddoll Core to extend your plays for Calamities, or even to help you make different fusions, and also to add your cards back. You know, it makes Squamata an even better card, like when you're using Squamata for utility purposes, just to send Shaddoll Core, and then use Core to add something back. It's really, really consistent in that sense. That's pretty much going to sum up the main deck. And it's a lot of spells, you guys. Pretty much every spell generates advantage, even Shaddoll Fusion, because when you're going second, you play it and send Beast and Hedgehog, so you get to draw and search. We know pre-prep searches, we know Allure draws, we know Terra searches, we know Desires draws, we know Secrets searches for Knowledge, which draws. We know L can actually do the same thing. And then we know Ritual Sanctuary searches. We know Prediction Ritual searches. This does not search, but it's consistent because it never goes away. And these all allow you to add cards to your hand, and as well as this. So I felt like I would get the maximum value out of every single spell that's played in this deck, simply because they have either recursion value for your grind game synergy, or they have multiple purposes and also allow you to just plus like a freaking madman, honestly. For the extra deck, we have 2 copies of Subterra Behemoth Fiendus. Excuse me, you guys, I'm getting sick again. I don't understand why. So this card is like amazing in Shaddolls, but outside of that, I really don't see why they made it for sub-terrors. It should have just had Shaddoll in its name. I mean, pretty much during your main phase, you can send a flip effect monster from your main deck to the grave. If you do, you get to special summon a flip effect monster from your hand, face down or face up to one of the zones it points to. Then if a monster in its zone is flip face up, you get to add a flip effect monster from deck or graveyard to hand. So you can do both of its effects in one turn, which makes it pretty insane. You can like send something like Hedgehog, Squamata, Falco, you know, Beast, whatever, get their effect. And then special summon one of your Cloggy normal summons, which could be Alistair, it could be any flip effect monster, to this card's zone, and then you use Terra Tray to flip it face up, activate its effect, and then use her effect after that to search or just revive from graveyard, which is insane. So Behemoth Fiendus is one of the blowout cards. Like, it's just so freaking good. And then for the Invoke Fusions, you play 3 copies of Medieval Mikey. You play 1 Tornado. We also play 1 Baby Boguska. And then for the Shaddoll Fusions, you play 3 Shaddoll Winda and 1 Shikinaga. There's this cool, like, if you open up with the nuts, there's this cool play where you can actually go into the Invoke Makaba and then overlay it into Calamities, which is pretty darn impressive. It's like, you know, the fact that the deck can make Calamities is why I play Calamities. But it's really only when you open with the nuts, meaning you got like pre-prep and basically if you have like pre-prep, a way to summon Terra Tray, and then like Alistair or Terraforming, you can do that in one turn. And it pays off because Calamities is just a pain in everybody's butt. And then the only 2 XYZs obviously are just Calamity and Boguska, because they not only stall, but they just like make you win. And then we have Ancient Fairy for your field spells, and pretty much Falco, Winda, or Beast. You sink into this, and then you like clear your Meltdown and go for Ritual Sanctuary, or vice versa, clear your Ritual Sanctuary and go for Meltdown. It's a really cool play. It's like a spicy tech. And then at the same time, it gains you life points, which helps out a lot. And then Black Rose if you just want to be aggressive. And that's pretty much going to sum up the deck profile. I'm very content with it. It's super consistent. You guys have seen me duel with it, and you've seen that I haven't lost with it at all. If you like the deck, let me know. If you feel like it needs some work, let me know. I'm always open for constructive criticism. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and sign out. God bless you guys. Make good choices. Don't hurt your brain cells. Stay tuned for future content, and also show some love to my other teammates. Just look at some of the videos they've done. You'd be surprised at how creative they are. They're on my team for a reason. And I love you guys, and you'll definitely be hearing from me soon.